Hey everyone, welcome to the Seasoned Agent Substack podcast. I'm Michele Bellisari. I have a podcast on all the major channels called The Seasoned Agent, but I've recently joined Substack and I've been podcasting for many years. I love to podcast. So I want to share with you a few thoughts I have about the life cycle pivot and the seasoned agent, the Gen X agent, the Gen Jones agent, the boomer agent. I'm just calling it the G3 agents. Okay. Let's talk about something that nobody's really talking about. And I've started talking about this a couple of years ago to the point that I have a group now called the Prime OG Agent Network. You can join it on Facebook. It's linked up here on Substack. And it is a place and space where we, meet up once or twice a month as seasoned agents and we chat and we share our stories and things that we're doing in our chapter of business versus what we did maybe 15 years ago, or at least the hybrid of it. Because let's face it, you get older, the chapter changes. So let's talk about one of the things that I know for sure, that a lot of experienced agents in this chapter of their career, they're pretty tired. Oh, hell, they're just exhausted. So many changes with the NAR lawsuit and video marketing and everything, right? It's not like it used to be where you would just, realistically just, you take a listing, you put it on the MLS, do a little marketing, and that's it. No, you have to be a full-on media company now. However, these agents aren't exhausted because they don't love the work. They're exhausted because the model they've been running, the hustle, the hamster wheel, the grind, I hate that word, by the way, it just wasn't built for this particular chapter that we're in. It's not that we don't love what we do. I think real estate agents in particular, we get into this because we love helping people, right? So this chapter is a little different. If you're like I said, Gen X, Gen Jones, or a Gen Boomer, and moving forward, I'm calling that G3, you've already been through a lot of changes, right? Multiple times. Many of you went through the housing market crash, the financial market crash back in the 2000s, had to readjust and pivot then. You've watched the industry really shift. And it's kind of been like quicksand sometimes, and then like an earthquake at other times. So the earth is moving. You're like, oh my God, I can't catch up. So there's been a lot. But here's what I'm seeing more and more, the agents in this particular season of life, and most of the agents that I'm seeing in this season of life, they're 50 plus. Okay. They're not just thinking about who their next client is. They're thinking about what kind of business they want to run, like what work feels meaningful to you, for example, what model makes sense to you from a brokerage standpoint. We're going to talk about that. So stay until the end because there's been a lot going on, and who you want to be surrounded with. Agents are done optimizing for volume, and they want to optimize for alignment. Okay. And to me, that's a life cycle pivot in your business. And you can align that with life cycle niches in your business, which is what I specialize in. So this shows up in a couple of ways, right? The first is the niche pivot, getting intentional about who you serve. So one of the things about G3 agents that we have in common that our younger counterparts really don't, and my kids, by the way, are in their 30s, we have this lived experience, divorce, parents that are retiring, downsizing, health issues, 55 plus scenarios, and my one big pillar, which is probate and inherited property, so death, the kind of life moments that move real estate and require more than just the market stats. Like you have lived through some difficult situations, but also taken things from them, and most agents will learn how to incorporate them into their business. So that's this generation of agents that I'm talking about. So the life cycle niche, the is in my opinion a wonderful space to be in if you're in this G3 stage. Okay. It isn't a workaround for slowing down, by the way. It's just recognition that some of the most complex and human transactions in real estate really need to have what I say is a velvet glove with the most experienced hands to get the people in these particular chapters of their lives to their next chapter. The second pivot that I'm very hot on right now is the model pivot. Now, hear me out. I came from Remax 10 years and I moved to Real Broker back in 2021. Okay. This one's a little harder to talk about because if you are thinking about making a change, it's harder, I think, to change as you get older, right? Now, I made a little pivot when I was, I think, late 50s, just so there's some context there. And the real estate industry is consolidating. We just had a week ago, Real Broker, my brokerage, acquired Remax. And I got to tell you, I was, first of all, not expecting that, a little floored when I saw it, but super excited. Companies are acquiring other companies. Models that didn't exist 10 years ago are now very legitimate and very much so dominate. And this in particular is cloud-based. I've got to be honest with you guys. And a lot of experienced agents are watching all of this and feeling like they have to choose between what they know and what might actually serve them better. The one thing I will say as someone who is now in my early 60s is, what does my retirement look like? What does my cash flow look like? What does my business look like as I am, continuing to work, which thank God I'm able to, but what does my residual income look like? What does my business model look like for the future? So here's what I have to say about that. I think this is a really good time for all agents to review where they're at, what they're paying for, how they're paying for it, what their splits are, and what they really want in the next year to 5 years. Because as you get older, you're not projecting 10 years out, right? At least most people aren't. So maybe you do it in smaller chunks, right? So you can always go back, by the way, to where you came from as far as brokerages. But if it were me, and I did this, so I'm just telling you what I did. I looked at a lot of different models before I made a move 5 years ago. One of the things I can tell you about Real Broker is I have revenue share that comes in every month. I'm a producing agent and I love that. I love that. It's like having a paycheck. Got to work out a little bit, but I love that. So, a few years ago when I made the move, I left a brand that people really recognized. And lo and behold, it's been a great ride. And at the same time, now it's come full circle with Real acquiring Remax. They will be two separate companies, by the way, not blended in together. So just an FYI. But this was a great decision for me at an age that agents usually don't make a switch. So I just wanted to share that with you. So if you're a Gen X, Gen Jones, Gen Boomer agent, and you are thinking about what's next for you, number one, think about what your business model looks like. Is it really buyer heavy? Is it seller heavy? Because personally, I'm all about the let's go get the listings in the life cycle. Death, downsizing, divorce, those are the big three. In particular, I am a probate specialist and I teach agents how to work with probate and inherited properties with my course, the Probate Listing Lab, which I've been teaching for, 5 or 6 years now, and taught in the Real Broker Real Academy to agents. So you're not behind. You're not too late. You're not too old to figure out a niche for you. And if a life cycle niche isn't for you, I still stand by agents should have a listing niche. So if you love to play pickleball, I love using this example, then be the pickleball queen of your community. Know everything about it, write blogs, do videos, talk about the free courts, talk about the bougie courts, whatever you want to talk about it. Okay. I freaking love that. All right. If you focus on ranchettes, then be the ranchette person that listing sellers are going to gravitate to. Widen your circle. Make sure that you have your network. Like, this is kind of like basic stuff that we got away from, especially during the pandemic. Get your butts out there and network. Go, shake hands with people. Find out who the players are in your niche so that you can really build it up. You are exactly the right person with exactly the right experience at the exact right time right now. So the life cycle pivot isn't all about starting over. It's just shifting and pivoting a little bit. So if that's something that you're thinking about or you've been nervous about, because let's face it, it's a little nerve-wracking, right? This is your time. You've got the experience. And by the way, and I've said this many times, do not listen to agents who are much younger than you who tell you not to share your experience. I take a lot away from my younger agent pals, especially when it comes to social media and whatnot. I'm always learning. But at the same time, don't make yourself smaller. Don't dim your sparkle. If you've been a realtor like I have for 20 plus years, there's a really great way to share that and not be, obnoxious about it. And agents who are listening to this, you'll get this, not the, well, I've been in real estate for 20 years. No, you want to make sure that the consumer knows you are experienced, you're savvy, you're kind of got a little hipness there, right? To get the job done for your clients. So lastly, the one thing I'm going to say is you do not need to be on every social media platform. Pick one. If your people are on Facebook, then gravitate to Facebook. If your people are on Instagram, go to Instagram. The nice thing about Instagram and Facebook is they connect. So you can do one post on, say, Facebook and connect it to your Instagram or vice versa. So that's kind of a win-win. But do you need to be on TikTok? I don't know. I don't know if that's really where your people are and who your niche is. So that's something you're going to have to find out. But anyways, thanks for joining me for my first Substack podcast. By the way, and probably this will show up on my regular podcast, The Seasoned Agent. So if you want to hear more episodes on niches, marketing, branding, midlife, multiple streams of income as a real estate agent, check out The Seasoned Agent on all the fine podcasting platforms. I will see you on the next episode, and make sure to visit my website, sipsocialsell.com, and you can see all the fun stuff that I do.